Welcome to Game Theorem, where we have serious discussions about absurd entertainment. So, Kyle, I'm playing this new mobile game.
You know those types of games are pay to win, right?
Yeah, so are most AAA titles. At least this one's free.
And that's a short skit we came up with. I'm Kyle.
I'm Kira.
Today we are talking about different payment schemes under video games in the video game industry. You know, microtransactions. We talked about doing an episode on that before. We kind of are, but more.
And the dreaded loot boxes.
Oh yeah, but we're going to be talking about manipulative pricing in the video game industry as a whole. Because there's so much to talk about, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is.
Because there's so many different ways they try to prey on you. Now, we've talked about whether we like using the word gamer before. Mm-hmm. You know, we had a whole episode about that. But whether you use the term or not, I think most people that are consumers in the video game industry agree that some of the things that these companies do are ridiculous.
Yep. I can imagine a lot of people think that.
It's like, we're not rich. We only have so much money to play games.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who are just like, you're doing mobile microtransactions in my games.
Sure.
Yeah. And loot boxes.
So we're going to talk about the different types of manipulation. But the way we're going to break it down in this episode is we're going to start with the most egregious examples. And we're going to get those out of the way and then talk about the other ones. And we'll get progressively better and better. Mm-hmm. But just know that we're going to be giving some examples and probably trash talking some game companies. Because, you know, if they're not playing fair, then we're not going to talk, we're just going to
be honest.
Just go, forget it.
All right. All right. The first
I was trying to make playing fair like a game joke. Whatever.
All right. So our first example is basically Bethesda.
Of course. Bethesda, though, if you want to hire me, call me.
Well,
I will help you fix this problem.
Okay.
So why don't you tell us what that problem is, Kira?
Okay, so the specific games I'm talking about are Fallout 76 and ESO, Elder Scrolls Online. And these games are literally like the trifecta of monetization. They've got regular microtransactions for cosmetics and stuff like that. They've got loot boxes.
2.
And they've got a premium membership that you have to pay monthly or yearly for.
So the premium membership, that's unique to this tier, right?
Yes.
So that's what makes them the worst.
Yes.
So why don't you talk about that?
That's something pretty unique to these games. Other MMOs have memberships, but then you also get everything else free with it, you know? But yeah, the microtransactions and the membership are literally just ways to sell you convenience. Because what they do is they'll give you XP boosts. They'll give you in-game gold. They'll give you in-game items that, like, help you out in different ways, like repair kits for Fallout 76.
Oh, you know what that reminds me of? Dan from the Folding Ideas YouTube channel had a video called Manufactured Discontent.
Oh my god, yes.
So yeah, definitely good watching material.
Yeah.
But that's what you're talking about with convenience, with experience points and boosts, the whole pay to win model, which is describing microtransactions. You know what? We should probably back up a bit and explain what microtransactions are for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah, sorry. These are in-game transactions, usually for small things like cosmetic items or consumables.
Now, let me give a whack at it.
Okay.
Microtransactions are basically purchases you can make in a video game for extra content in that video game. And they're called micro because they're usually very small in character. Now, aesthetic microtransactions are usually seen as preferable because they only do things cosmetically. Mm-hmm. They only change, skins and colors and whatnot, as opposed to any gameplay effect. But then there's also microtransactions that do gameplay effects. And ones that actually give you an advantage, that's called pay to win, because you can literally pay for an advantage in the game. Mm-hmm. Whether it's single player or multiplayer, This is a thing. And the reason I brought up manufacturer discontent is because for microtransactions to really sell well, games that have microtransactions, they tend to make most of their money via the microtransactions.
That's very true.
So they designed them to be very appealing to get as many people to click on them as they can.
Yes.
They do that by making the game without microtransactions unbearable.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna go on about that because, like, that whole manufactured discontent thing is literally why this thing happened in Fallout 76, where the premium membership players would hunt down everyone else. And they didn't intend to create something like this, but, you know, that sort of hierarchy is just bound to happen when you have these capitalist microtransactions in your game, because it creates those who pay and those who don't. Even if you've already paid, it's like those who paid more and those who haven't.
Well, the microtransactions already have that happen, but when you add things like a premium membership, you're codifying a hierarchy.
Absolutely. Another thing with that is most of these memberships include things that should be basic features in a video game.
I think the membership should be clear. We should be clear that it is distinct from a subscription. It's not like you're subscribing a monthly fee to play the game in the first place. No, this is a membership.
You literally already bought the game, and
Yes.
this is a membership that gives you something like ESO literally doesn't have a craft bag unless you pay for a membership. It is a bag where all your crafting items go so that you don't have to carry them and they don't count towards your character weight.
Right. And see, they try to sell this as like it's, oh, you pay extra money for extra features. That's capitalism. It's an economy. You buy more, you pay, you get more. But what they don't mention is that these are, virtual fictional worlds that they have meticulously crafted every corner of. So they can literally craft it to not just be, oh, you pay more for more content, but to specifically gatekeep content that would have been there anyway if you didn't pay. Because think about it, if that membership didn't exist, do you think that crafting mechanic would simply not be there? If so, the game would be worse off for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, do you really think they it's not even like an active thing where they had to be deceptive and be like, oh, well, we're going to take out the crafting mechanic. Mwahaha. But no, it just would have been smart gameplay design. And if they can go, oh, this feature helps in the game, we can make that exclusive for money.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, think about any game. Like, what if a game just like locked fast travel behind a paywall?
Actually,
would you say that you're like, oh, well, you're paying for extra content? No, you're not. It's just a paywall. That's all it is.
Well, in Fallout 76, I believe you have to pay caps to fast travel, and you can buy in-game currency, I'm pretty sure.
So basically half of what I just said. Okay.
Yes, and then in like most games with encumbrance, they include ways in the video game for you to increase that encumbrance. You know? Like, for example,
it's a leveling mechanism.
Yeah.
See, most games, from the very first games, from Super Mario Bros. And whatnot, the games have such a way of not giving you many options at the start. And through playing the game and learning more and unlocking new features, you get more stuff. Right? In Mario, that would be power-ups. The only difference is whether you earn them in the game or you pay for them. And sometimes they'll technically allow you to do both. I mean, I'm thinking of, do you go into Fortnite later on, or can I talk about that now?
I go into it later on.
Oh, okay then.
Because it's free to play.
Right. Okay, well, my point was just that sometimes they'll technically have both, but it will be significantly harder. Like, they will have purposefully made it hard to do by manually grinding the game.
That's definitely true.
I mean, I've played Fallout Shelter on the smartphone.
Yeah.
And there's literally just items and stuff you will never get. They don't tell you that because they have kind of a loot box thing going on. but there's just stuff that's exclusive to if you pay for it.
Yep. I also forgot to tell you that Elder Scrolls also has DLC quest lines and content that they also have to have you pay for unless you have a membership, in which case you get access to them for as long as you have the membership. So yeah, that's even more charging for content that should have been in the game. There are literally guilds that
Well, if you're paying them...
There are literally guilds that have been a mainstay in the Elder Scrolls game that are now premium DLC that you have to pay for.
Ah.
Yeah.
Like how Fallout 76 or like the Fallout series used to have characters and quests and storylines and backstory. And now everything but the backstory is extra on Fallout 76. Mm-hmm. All you get is a dead world where the whole adventure had already happened. Mm-hmm. Oh, Fallout 76 is the worst Fallout game. Literally worse than Fallout Tactics.
Mm-hmm. And they're coming out with the Wanderers update. How much you want to bet some of that content is going to be kept or charged for?
Sure. But, best case scenario, it's still going to only be like Fallout 4.
Yeah, I really think that they're going to do the same DLC thing with Fallout 76 that they did for some of the quest lines in ESO.
Do we go over season passes later on?
Yes, we do.
Okay, well, why don't we just go ahead and move on? So those were some of the worst examples. What other examples do you have with some egregious practices for us, Kira?
All right, next we're going to go on to games that have microtransactions that are loot boxes, which is objectively the worst kind of microtransaction to have.
All right, so we talked about that a little bit. So why don't we explain in depth what loot boxes are?
The loot boxes are where you can buy, basically it's like a pack of cards, but the items you're getting aren't cards, they're virtual items, whether it's cosmetics or currency.
For card
or
fans, that would
else.
be booster packs.
Yeah, they're like booster packs. You basically buy a randomized pack of these virtual items. Mm-hmm. And a lot of games that do this also charge for the game. So you buy the game, and then you're greeted with microtransactions to buy loot boxes.
Overwatch does that. Yes, they do loot boxes.
Yes, but they also have other ones too.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm specifically just talking about the loot boxes. So
what was the most infamous one that did it? Star Wars Battlefront.
Yes.
That was the most infamous one because the game was almost nothing but loot box. Mm-hmm. And even then, like iconic characters like Darth Vader had like less than a 1% chance of ever coming out of any loot box.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So people that actually wanted to purchase a specific thing would have to buy it over and over again just for the odds to work out.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so specifically with these loot boxes, China made a regulation that they have to disclose the percentages chance for these items. And that's the only reason we even know.
I want to pause for a second.
Yeah.
When China is offering a regulation to your product, or demanding a regulation to your product, you messed up.
Yeah.
Seriously, China? Are we supposed to thank China for the disclosing of this information? I don't want to thank China. Free Hong Kong.
Well, they aren't the only one to have this type of regulation, but
no, I remember it coming up in the news. Yeah, I remember it.
Yes.
It was if not the first, it was at least notorious. I think China just holds so much sway in the market, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you pay for these games, and then it's basically like paying an entry fee into a casino. Because you pay the fee, and then you basically gamble. And
well, I think your trading card analogy was very wise, but also wrong, like you were pointing out.
Yeah, because it's more gambling.
Well, no. See, if you're doing trading cards, and you draw some cards, and they're all useless to you, you didn't get any of the ones you wanted, they still have value.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You can still trade those cards to other people. Maybe the value goes down, sure. But also maybe you did get a valuable one, it just wasn't the valuable one you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Whereas
so there's
in these games, often you only get in-game currency for duplicates.
Well, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But even then, that in-game currency, this is the problem with microtransactions. Do you ever talk about funny money in this?
Yes, I do.
Well, I guess we'll get into that. Mm-hmm. But basically, the virtual object you buy is worth nothing.
Yep.
Absolutely nothing. And most of the time you can't even like actually trade it like you would a card. So the analogy really starts to break down.
Yeah, it's kind of like a slot machine, really.
Which is gets into the gambling you were about to talk about.
Yes. Legally, the only reason these loot boxes are different than gambling is because you can't turn that money that you buy to purchase the loot boxes back into real money, nor can you turn the virtual items you got back into real money. That's the only reason.
So they're a lot like chips at a casino.
Yes,
exactly. Except chips you can cash in. That's the only difference. And you know what? I want to point this out because people talk about like, oh, it's like gambling. No, and like demonize gambling and whatnot. And to a certain extent, I'll demonize gambling. But also, you can turn it back in. Like if you're playing like some fair wage and you're being fair gambling and you're being responsible about it and it's your own choice, whatever. But I would say gambling is actually better than what loot boxes are doing.
Yeah.
Because gambling at least has a possibility of a profit.
Oh,
loot boxes never will, ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a sinkhole.
And this is the only reason that they haven't been legally regulated like gambling. This is literally the game company's argument for why it's not gambling.
It's the logic of being of the game developers saying, well, it's not technically gambling because you can't win.
Yep. Actually, I did my research. No country actually has laws in effect that specify anything about loot boxes.
But I thought I heard so much stuff on the news about...
There have been a lot of studies that have actually been done and recommendations by experts, and there are some bills in the works, but the laws just aren't on the books right now.
I really thought some of them had gone through in some countries. Not even like EU stuff?
I literally looked it up. There have definitely been experts going to the government and recommending that they regulate loot boxes, and there have been governments saying that they will do it. It's just nothing has gone through yet.
Well, that's depressing.
There are a few countries that are on track to regulate them like they regulate gambling with age restrictions and warnings. Like,
I did hear about that.
Yes, I specifically read something about Australia that they have a bill about restricting loot boxes to like 18 plus and treating it like gambling with warning labels on the game boxes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I know at least the ESRB has started actually labeling games with...
They have changed their regulations to include a warning label for microtransactions and loot boxes.
Did you know there was a controversy with that, though?
Yes, because game companies literally did this thing where they would release a game and it doesn't have that label on it.
I think it was the latest Crash Bandicoot game.
Yeah, the Crash Bandicoot remake. The
game didn't have any microtransactions when it was released, but they later patched it and updated and added them in.
And
so the retail copies don't have the warning label.
Yeah, they got to sell that game for weeks without the opening part of it.
Longer than that, I think.
Yeah, for a while they got to sell the game without that warning on it. And then they just patched them in later. So they got on the shelves without that warning.
So all the ways we've talked about how consumers and gamers or game players are manipulated into spending their money on games they have already paid for. Microtransactions, after you pay for it, you're asked to put in even more money. There's loot boxes where you're literally asked to gamble your money with the only assurances that you'll never get any back. They assure you your virtual thing that's limited to this game, that's untradeable, and that you'll never be able to use outside of this game is worth the value. But come on, really?
Yeah.
And then 3, the memberships, where you have to pay a subscription on top of the game you've already purchased.
Yeah.
So that does not sound fair for anyone that enjoys these games. I mean, I love Fallout, and I didn't think Fallout 4 was very great. But if Fallout 76 was just going to be an even more meh Fallout 4, I might have bought into it, just to explore the world and see the backstory that I wish I could have played. Mm-hmm. But I never got that chance because I knew the game was so bad, not just with the manipulative practices, but also just technically as a game, it was really bad.
Yeah.
But then you hear all this microtransactions and the membership, and it makes me even less want to play it because I don't want to get scammed.
Oh yeah, it's a huge scam. The membership for ESO is like $120 for a year, and for Fallout 4 it's like $100.
And I mean, I'm not
$76.
a Star Wars fan, so I never would have fallen for Star Wars Battlefront. But I really empathize with people.
Yeah, because it's like if in Fallout, like, Kaiser was locked behind, like, some endings were locked behind a paywall. Because they were iconic characters.
Yeah, you can only, actually, we should probably stop talking about Fallout.
Yeah.
Why don't you go on to the next hierarchy?
All right.
Tier, whatever.
All right, so these games they charge you for a price, and they also have microtransactions, but these are varied. I realize that you're right about Overwatch because they have loot boxes. They should have been in the previous tier. But these games have mainly other microtransactions and not loot boxes.
But yeah, these are ones that are just shy of loot boxes.
Yeah, like GTA 5, Skyrim Special Edition, and Fallout 4.
Okay, great. I have an excuse to talk about Fallout now.
These games literally charge full price, and then they also have a ton of microtransactions that are just not loot boxes. But they're always often things that would have been included in the game, and regardless, like weapon and armors.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but this is why we wanted to talk about this going from worse to less worse. Because compared to what we've just been talking about, this actually sounds kind of nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, Fallout 4 has microtransactions?
You can actually buy the specific thing you want and not have to gamble.
Yeah. This time when you fork over your money, you at least know what you're getting. That's consumer friendly and choice, right? And then, I mean, come on, let's be real. It's still really horrible. I mean, imagine remember how many people freaked out when the Creation Club for Bethesda games was made?
Yes, I was going to explain something with that right now.
Sure.
Here's proof that this is stuff that they've taken out of games and then have chosen to sell us in the future. Bethesda, who put out New Vegas. New Vegas had a hard mode, which included survival aspects, remember?
Yeah, in Fallout New Vegas.
Skyrim Special Edition sold a survival mode on the Creation Club.
Wasn't that game made after New Vegas?
Yep.
Wow. So literally a feature that was in their previous game, the next game, the feature's not there, and then later you can buy that feature for extra.
Yep. Not only that, the previous edition of Skyrim had an insanely popular mod that did these weather effects and hard mode and stuff that they took the idea from, basically. Because that mod was so popular, they decided, we're going to add a mode with weather effects and stuff.
And see, you know what's ridiculous about that? If your game allows modding, there's a certain expectation that the official developers have a bit more competency than their modders. Mm-hmm. They have more resources at their hands. So if there's a mod that you're making, if it already exists, you don't need to make that. Yep. Or if you're going to, at least give it away for free, because people can already get it for free.
Nope, they literally sold that game mode where you have to eat, drink, and sleep, and then you have to worry about temperature.
Fallout 4 did the same thing, because Fallout 4 had XO1 Enclave power armor, which is the old school Fallout 1 and 2 Enclave power armor. Mm-hmm. But Fallout 3, when Bethesda got the IP, they made new XO2 and XO3 power armor. And they cut those from Fallout 4. They simply didn't appear. No explanation. They just didn't appear. Mm-hmm. People modded it and made their own. Literally modeling from scratch, not reusing any assets, and remade the XO2 and XO3 power armors for everyone to use.
It ended up on the Fallout 4 Creation Club.
But the ones that you have to pay for via microtransactions for Fallout 4 are worse in quality than the actual modded for free ones.
Yep.
And look, they do a lot of outsourcing on that. They get like former modders or to do that stuff. That's Bethesda's kind of weird way of doing it.
Eleonora to make house mods that they sell on Creation
And people
Club.
like her are extremely talented. I don't want to throw any shade on the people that actually modeled and made these armors.
They're amazing.
Our criticism is of the financial system.
Yeah, they should be paid.
And also, why were you making something that already existed?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition both have the same kind of fake money that those loot box games do. And the purpose of this is to obfuscate how much they're charging and how much you're actually spending. I didn't mention that before, but that is definitely what they do here because they list the prices for all this DLC in their funny money.
Yeah, and I mean, people call it funny money.
If you translate it into real dollars, it's expensive.
Right. The goal is so you don't know how much you're spending until it's too late. And they specifically always break down the currency to never convert equally to real money. Mm-hmm. You'll notice you'll never find a in-game currency that is a 1-to-1 with your dollar. Because it wouldn't be that hard to do. Especially the American dollar, which is used so much around the world.
Yeah, they try to make you feel like you're getting thousands of this credit for like $1, and then it's like, yeah, but everything costs over 1,000.
But no, seriously, because I remember messing around with the Fallout 4 Creation Club, and by messing around, I mean I got a spreadsheet, started crunching some numbers before deciding, oh, none of this is worth it, and not buying anything.
Yep.
But like you would have to pay like $5 for like 2,000 credits, and that 2,000 credits could purchase, like you could only buy things in like 400 credits increments, meaning you would have some left over. I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head.
Yeah, they purposefully make it.
But the point is like I would be left over with like 100 to 200 credits and not have anything to spend it on unless I added more to it.
Yeah, that's the way they trick you.
Exactly.
They make sure that their prices are in, what do you call it, like, that they don't evenly divide into the amount that you can purchase.
Exactly. They don't convert evenly.
Yeah.
Not only that, they don't convert consistently. Because oftentimes, depending on the batch of how many you get, the value you're getting changes. So like with the previous example, I pay $5 for 2,000 credits. I could pay $20 for like 10,000 credits. And suddenly my money gave me more credits per dollar. I could pay, there's sometimes where you could be like paying $100 and you get like 1,000,000 credits. It's like, wait a minute, now each of those dollars got more.
Yeah.
So,
and it's because they want you to choose the more expensive one, thinking that, well, I need this amount of credits anyway. If I spend that much, I'll be getting extra.
Yeah, they're treating it like buying bulk at a grocery store, saying
you
like
get a cheaper price if you buy bulk.
Right, they're saying like you buy from us more often, we'll give you more stuff if you. It's like buy one get one free.
Yeah,
it's more. It's like buy 2 get the third free, or buy 3 get the fourth free. And you think there's a kind of primal part, I think, of the human experience where we go, oh, I get more for that. That's good for me. And it's like, no, see, none of this is worth anything.
Yep. Because that virtual money isn't worth anything.
Exactly. It's made up. And you know what? There's a word for this. It's called script.
Oh, yeah.
And it's outlawed in most countries. It is in America, at least, because it blurs the line between a corporation and the government, where a corporation is divvying out the money to their own workers to buy it that's only good at their own internal stores. The term is called funny money because the rules change to benefit the person issuing the money. Yeah. That's what this is. It's virtual script. They're literally taking us back to the Gilded Age with this crap.
Yep.
And they expect people that play games are just not going to know that?
Yeah, well, they should expect us to be smarter than that.
It's hard to overestimate the contempt that the executives of game publishing companies have for the players.
You want to keep going?
Yeah, sorry.
All right, so now we're going to talk about free-to-play games with microtransactions, including loot boxes. So these have a variety of microtransactions.
Right, and
but they're free-to-play.
And so that includes like Smite, Fortnite, Hearthstone, Destiny 2, PUBG, etc.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the reason we're differentiating these ones because this is better, right? This is better than the ones we were just talking about because you didn't purchase the game.
Yeah, you can play it for free.
Right. It's like when you purchase content or TV shows or movies or discs or whatnot versus watching it on YouTube and you have to watch ads. We've kind of accepted like, well, the ads are how they pay for it. There's kind of a forced but unwritten agreement that, okay, we won't revolt. The ads are how we pay for it. We get it.
Yeah,
and when
it's
video
the same
games,
thing with free-to-play games because it's assumed that if the game is free-to-play, then of course they have to make their money a different way. So, microtransactions.
right. So I feel like it's seen as more acceptable that way. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't change all the problems with microtransactions we've already talked about.
Like a lot of these have loot boxes specifically, but even if they don't, they certainly use psychological tricks to try to get you to buy in the game that's free to play. And they try to get you hooked and invested in the game because that makes you more likely to buy something.
You know the game Candy Crush?
Yeah.
Specifically that game is designed so that anytime you fail, you can visually see had you made if you had one or two extra moves, you actually could have saved yourself and you could have kept it going. They designed it that way on purpose to where you could see your mistake and how you could have fixed it. Oh, and what's this right here? A button for one or two more moves, or not free, one or two more moves if you just throw in a little money.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how much money they made off of that one button alone?
Yeah.
That design decision, which it was ingenious, but not for a purpose I think we could all describe as good.
Yeah.
Because how many people fell for that?
Oh, and they use every psychological trick in the book.
And there's so many stories of children getting tricked into doing this.
Yes, absolutely. Specifically with Fortnite, something that's really bad that happened with Fortnite was there have been multiple stories in the news of kids literally getting bullied because they don't have any of this microtransactions.
Oh, can I stop you there?
What?
Well, I was going to talk about children getting extorted for money.
Yes.
But what you're talking about was social pressure. And
yes.
I think that is a good case of why cosmetic microtransactions aren't inherently superior.
Yes, because...
I mean, I guess they are preferable than pay-to-win ones like we've talked about, but even cosmetic microtransactions are full of the same manipulative tactics, and they do have consequences, like the bullying of children at schools. Because, like Fortnite, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Fortnite is aggressive with how little customization in your appearance you can have unless you purchase it. You
literally don't get any customization unless you buy something.
No, but not even that. They literally randomize the bland appearance.
Oh, yeah. So you don't even have any control over what the bland person looks like.
Exactly. So you can't even get attached to the bland one.
Yeah, exactly. And something else Fortnite does is these battle passes, or sometimes they're called season passes.
Wait, okay, season passes are a thing in more than just Fortnite.
Well, yes, of course. We'll talk about those in a minute.
Okay.
But the battle passes is something that specifically started with Fortnite and has gotten into other games like Call of Duty, Apex Legends, Dota 2, those esports games. Because you know what they'll do is they'll say, oh, we're having a season of competitive play. It's an esports season, basically. You know how basketball and baseball have seasons?
Sure.
It'll be an esports season.
Okay, and the
where
point?
people can earn their ranks in the game. And what they'll do is like, if you pay this amount for this season, you'll get extra experience and rewards throughout the season to give you a competitive edge.
And that's a battle pass?
Yeah, that's what the battle pass is. You get more experience and more microtransaction goodies like cosmetics and stuff while you play through that.
So this is like when you're
season.
playing free-to-play games like Don't Starve, or I'm sure World of Warcraft does them, where they have like seasonal events where like, oh, it's the Christmas Wonderland or it's the Halloween thing, but you have to pay to participate.
Actually, yeah, if you don't pay, sometimes you can't even earn rank in that season. And sometimes they do let you earn rank, but you just don't get
So it
those
varies on a
rewards.
case-by-case
Yes, it
thing.
varies.
But still, there's a certain level of features that are made exclusive for that battle pass.
Oh, yes, definitely. They always make exclusive stuff for the battle passes.
So it's like a ticket. It's like
Yes,
it's like
that's what they sell it as. Yep.
So we should talk about season passes next.
Yes, and this is getting into the paid DLC.
Right, but season passes are worse than just your average DLC.
Yes. What season passes are is you pay this one price and you get all the DLC we'll release in the future for this game.
DLCs basically, downloaded content. It's
Horse armor. It's horse armor.
no, a DLC is basically just, it's the simple version of you pay money, you get something. And it's extra add-on content to the game.
Yes.
But a season pass isn't just DLC. A season pass is promising to eventually make DLC.
Yeah. Sometimes the DLC
it's
is
better than a battle pass because at least you're going to eventually get content and it's going to be good. We promise.
But it's like pre-ordering a video game because like you don't even know what the DLC is going to be like.
Well, I would argue a season pass is worse than pre-ordering. Pre-ordering's bad, but you're pre-ordering a game, a physical product. A season pass is like pre-ordering add-on.
You can pre-order digital downloads.
Well, okay, fine, but then you're getting a game,
Yeah. Fair enough.
physical or virtual. But you're pre-ordering an actual game as opposed to a season pass, which is kind of like pre-ordering DLC for a game that you have to have already bought.
Yep.
And then you can pre-order a season pass, which is a promise to pre-order the add-on DLC content for the game you already own.
Sometimes they'll like after the DLC is released, they'll say, "Oh, get the season pass," which means you get all the DLC. But that still doesn't mean it's all made when they sell those season passes.
Well, it never is. It never is.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, you'll have people being honest where I guess Call of Duty, because like Call of Duty, when you get the season pass, you at least usually know what you're going to get.
Well, Breath of the Wild did the same thing where they explained what their DLC was going to be when you bought the season pass.
Right. So if they
gave you dates.
They can, like, if they give you all that information, that's great. Just keep in mind, they can literally go back on that and they will never...
that's happened with certain games before. I think, what was it? Anthem was the one Jim Sterling talked about that.
Okay, yes, but Anthem, that wasn't quite a season pass. That was like a whole different flavor of it, but I see why you're confused because it's very similar.
Yeah.
What they call it is a roadmap.
Oh, okay.
Now, the thing of a roadmap is basically it's a season pass, but they're dropping the pretense that they will deliver it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think maybe season passes have some legal language that like you literally, if you make it, you have to deliver it to people that purchased it.
Yes.
Whereas,
that's why they call them season passes or whatever, because that language has attachments to it.
Right. But a roadmap is not a legal thing.
Yeah.
So they could just be like, oh, you already purchased the season pass? Well, technically, this content we just made is season 2.
Yep.
You have to purchase it extra.
Yeah.
Like, actually, Call of Duty had a controversy about that.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that.
Because back when I was into Call of Duty Zombies for Black Ops 2, there was a zombie DLC map that was released but not included in the season pass. It was Nuketown Zombies. And within days of people being really angry and freaking out, like, we bought the season pass, we should get all the DLC, they ended up wrapping it under the season pass thing.
Wow.
And I knew that because there was basically I was going to purchase it, and then I found out I didn't have to.
Yeah, that's funny.
So yeah, that's another example. Anything else with season passes? Oh, Fallout 4 season pass was egregious.
Oh my god.
Because here's the thing. If you buy a season pass and they haven't announced what it's going to be, it could actually be really crappy and very little to it.
That's what happened with Fallout 4.
Fallout 4 had less than half the DLC of every previous 3D Fallout game.
Yep.
Like when we're talking about content, like we played Fallout 4 on our YouTube channel, and when we did the Vault 88 DLC, I mean, this is kind of a famous moment that I've reiterated several times when talking about this, that we were playing Vault 88 one episode in, and I just kind of turned to you and I was like, can we be done? This isn't fun.
Yep. Because that DLC was just so crappy.
And the Fallout 4's DLC was also pretty egregious because they increased the price of the season pass halfway through the season.
Really?
Yeah. It was $30 and they upped it to like 40 or 60 or something. And because of that, I was like, oh no, well, I have to buy it now because we're playing Fallout 4 and I don't want to wait until the price goes up.
Yeah.
But then after the price went up, the only real DLC they released was Nuka World.
Yeah.
Which even that was lackluster.
And even the workshop content was the worst DLC.
Part packs, like something you'd see from The Sims.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, what does The Sims pay process look like? I imagine it's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's notorious. I feel kind of guilty because I have a Sims 3 and Sims 4 game with most of the DLC.
So how did that happen?
Because I love the game.
So you're reaping the benefits of your financially irresponsible younger self?
Yes, basically. Yes.
Wow.
Because what they do is...
I feel sorry for whoever gets like financially tied to you. Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
I was just kidding.
So basically with Sims DLC, they will come out with build by items and then complete gameplay elements that they add in through DLC. So like, for example, one of them was Discover University, where they let your sim go to college and added a bunch of items, and that was a DLC pack. It was $40. All of the new ones cost $40 a piece.
Overpriced.
Yes, and the previous ones for Sims 3 cost $20 a piece.
Well, I think that's a good segue into us talking about DLC in general.
Yes, yes.
Because there's some games where they don't do the season pass thing. They just have DLC. You want it, you buy it. And, you know, sometimes after the game comes out, they'll do a bundle pack and you can buy it all together. Some of the ones with season passes do that too. But we already talked about the problems with season passes. So any games that just let you buy the DLC a la carte, that's great. Mm-hmm. Now, do you know these ones you have listed here specifically didn't have season passes?
I know Tomb Raider and Borderlands had a thing that they called a season pass, but it was basically just a way to buy all the DLC at once.
Oh, like post hoc?
Yeah, I don't think they had a season pass before.
It's hard to know when you're looking after the fact.
I know Tomb Raider did that whole thing where they have different editions with extra stuff, but then at the end, you could just buy all the DLC in a pack.
Like I said, it's hard to know after the fact.
Yeah.
But
I know the Elder Scrolls DLCs were like individually released, and then you just bought a bundle with them.
Right, so theoretically, this is much better than what we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. All the other manipulative price things, you know, microtransactions, loot boxes.
Fallout New Vegas DLC was really well done.
I thought they had a season pass.
I don't think New Vegas did, no.
I know I bought it individually when it first came out, but I didn't remember if that was the only way or not.
I don't think they had a season pass.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, not New Vegas. That wasn't a thing until, like, I don't know, later on, like Skyrim or whatever.
No, it was a thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a thing. Because I know Call of Duty was doing it at the time.
Yeah, fair
Because
enough.
I first started playing Fallout New Vegas when I was still in the midst of my whole Call of Duty Zombies routine.
Single player games until later. Yeah.
I just know I was playing Fallout New Vegas when I first played it. I was still in the whole Call of Duty Zombies thing, and Call of Duty had season passes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't realize the brilliance of New Vegas for many years when I came back to it, and I was like, this still holds up. So theoretically, DLC is a lot better because you're just saying, hey, here's some extra money, give me some extra goodness. And that seems to be pretty fair, right?
Yeah, it's subjective because basically what a person thinks an item is worth is up to them. Especially with virtual items, it kind of muddies the worth. And the most notorious instance of this is Oblivion's Horse Armor DLC, which has become a joke of like what DLC is like.
Well, I was going to say, DLC seems like it can be fair in theory. That doesn't mean it is in practice. Because because it basically comes down to the fact that you don't know what you're purchasing until you purchase it and see how little the virtual substance you bought was worth. And basically overpricing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like with the horse armor. You want to talk about how that worked?
Yes, so Oblivion had this DLC, which is they sold you armor for your...
Do you remember how much it was?
It was $2 from what I saw.
That doesn't sound like much.
$2 isn't much, but literally all the DLC is you go talk to the person at the stable and you can buy armor for the horse.
Oh, and
that is literally it.
Okay, so it's not even worth $2.
Nope.
It just makes your horse slightly harder to kill.
I don't
You don't think it even had a gameplay effect?
I don't even remember if it did or not.
Because horse armor just simply wasn't a facet of the game prior to that release?
Nope.
You know, it was so infamous. Fallout 4 literally referenced it.
Yeah, as a joke.
They made horsepower armor.
There's unfortunately, you know what's unfortunate about this the most?
It makes me uncomfortable when giant corporations poke fun at themselves.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I was going to say, this horse armor DLC became such a huge joke, but it was literally just a precursor to how bad DLC was going to get with being cosmetic items and stuff like that.
Oh, you know one really bad use of DLC?
What?
Day one DLC.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because one problem that people worry about with DLC is much like with the microtransactions, it predates that, where people worry that content was cleaved out of what should have been the full game and simply sold at a later time for an additional markup and called it DLC. And nothing proves that fear more correct than when you have day one DLC. When a game is released and there's immediately DLC out for it, Nuketown Zombies, then it's clear that you were specifically trying to make something exclusive for an extra price.
Yes,
it's clear that you actually did already have it made, and it could have been part of the game, but you wanted more money.
It's exactly like the silver and gold editions of games that just release. Like they'll have a bunch of DLC packaged with those versions. We should talk about the different versions of games that are basically just all sold at full price.
Sure, but before we move on to that, I was going to still talk about stuff.
Yeah, sorry.
Pre-ordering. We were talking about pre-ordering with the season passes and whatnot.
There's pre-order bonus crap.
But when you think about it, a day one DLC, how different is that from a pre-order?
Yeah, you're right.
The only difference is sometimes pre-orders are made permanently exclusive to where you can never buy them afterwards. But oftentimes pre-order content is also made at the same time as the game, is set aside for people with extra money, for people who buy the money before they know whether the game is good or not, which is kind of anti-capitalist. Because isn't like the whole hand of the free market thing supposed to mean like, oh, if the game is good, people will buy it. Well, how do you know it's good if it's not even out yet?
Yep.
But anyway, so you do the pre-order, and then it becomes day one DLC after the pre-order period expires.
Yeah, and you realize that they literally made extra content for the game and left it separate from the game to be purchased separately.
The fairest interpretation is if you really think it was worth that money, you could have bundled it and made it all one game and marked the price up.
Yeah.
Some people will say that, like, you know what? No, let's just, I was going to say something, but let's talk about the different versions of the games that you brought up. Because that's an issue I think we need to set aside first before I go into my rant.
Yes. Skyrim is one of the most egregious examples of this. Been re-released 7 times, including the remaster.
And it is understandable.
It's full price every time.
Like, and the game has changed so much over the years. Many people really just want to play the original World of Warcraft. And people would even mod it, and like they'd have like their own custom servers to play the original one.
What are you talking about?
You're talking about World of Warcraft.
I said Skyrim.
No, you said World of Warcraft. It says World of Warcraft.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, they did the same thing with World of Warcraft, yeah. Where they released different versions of it because people were so nostalgic for the old one. They did the same thing with RuneScape, too.
No, but not even that, because I was going to say, people made their own custom servers to play the original World of Warcraft, and Blizzard shut them down and then realized there was a market for it and made a re-released remaster of the original World of Warcraft.
Yeah, and now they're doing another one? World of Warcraft 3 or whatever?
I don't know, but it's the point. It's selling the same game multiple times.
Yep.
And if you did say Skyrim, I'm sorry, I heard World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
but
okay.
yeah, Skyrim did that too.
Yep. I only got the remaster for free because I'd purchased the full version on Steam. No other platform got this special edition for free.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare has done this.
Yeah.
Not only that, there was a big controversy because some other new Call of Duty game had come out. And if you wanted to play the remake of the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which, to be fair, is considered one of the best games ever made. And it's every other Call of Duty game has been literally copying its formula ever since this one was made. When you think of Call of Duty, this was basically the first modern Call of Duty. Mm-hmm. Modern Warfare, haha. Mm-hmm. Anyway, to get the remake, you had to purchase the new Call of Duty game to even get it.
Wow.
The remake of Call of Duty Modern Warfare was basically DLC for the new Call of Duty game.
That's awful. Let's keep going.
Not to mention, like, the multiplayer matches in the old Call of Duty games aren't regulated anymore, so cheaters are found throughout them.
Of course.
And assuming the servers are even maintained at all.
Yeah.
So they literally leave the original one to rot to try to push you to buy the newer ones.
It's planned obsolescence.
Yes.
Yep.
Good point. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about Pokemon at all?
Yeah, they've gotten away with selling 2 different versions with version exclusive content for years. And when you realize that means, like, you literally are locked out of content.
I mean, okay, the thing is, I want to talk about Pokemon for a minute. Because I did a whole Twitter thread. We did. I mean, I wrote most of this because I'm the Pokemon fan between the two of us. I mean, you're into Pokemon too, but
hurry up.
Sorry, we're running out of time. Pokemon has basically, by this point, started employing all of these strategies. Not all of them, but most of them. Like, they haven't done loot boxes yet. But
they haven't done microtransactions really either. They've only gotten to the DLC stage.
Well, maybe not on Pokemon, but other Nintendo games are starting to do that.
Yeah, I believe
Mario.
So. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. But what they have started doing is really manipulative business practices. Like they started doing DLC. Mm-hmm. And most people, you know, we just talked about DLC.
They cut the decks in half and then tried to sell it back to you.
Exactly. We talked about that, which is the problem with DLC that we talked about. It's why people are upset against it. It's not the best case scenario for DLC. Mm-hmm. But not only that, while everyone was distracted with the whole Dexit and then the DLC controversies, they secretly tried to slip by something that people are only kind of just now getting upset about.
What?
The new version of the Pokemon Bank for the Switch.
Oh.
It's a subscription model.
Oh.
If you want to transfer your Pokemon between games, you have to pay. Now, previously, there was a version of this that was $5 a year. It's been up to $15 a year, and you have to pay for it.
Wow.
You can't transfer Pokemon unless you pay for it. And they are thinking about discontinuing it for the older games, meaning we may see a day where the generations are permanently locked off from each other.
Oh, that's awful.
Yep.
All right, come on.
But all of this, I think, people don't realize that Pokemon was already kind of manipulative with their multiple versions in the first place. They've been doing this from the beginning. They just kind of had their own flavor of it. Mm-hmm. I also wanted to mention Watch Dogs as an honorable mention because, like I try to get the best version of a game. Like, I think Pokemon Emerald is the best third generation Pokemon game.
Yeah.
There is no best version of the game Watch Dogs. Every version has different exclusives based on which console you got it or which special edition or which pre-order edition.
Crazy. Wow.
If you go to the Wikipedia page, there's a chart.
Wow.
Because it's that complicated.
All right. So lastly, we're going to go with just a video game sold on its own with no extra content, which is like Undertale, Papers, Please, the Ace Attorney games, Professor Layton. I know Puyo Puyo Tetris didn't have any DLC, like the old Paper Mario games. You know how games used to be? And something about this is that you realize that most of the new ones are only indie developers making this. Because these companies aren't interested in just making a title and selling it anymore. They won't leave money on the table by not doing extra monetization. They just won't do it anymore. And lastly, honorable mentions for like incredible games that not only sell for one price, but also continually release content afterwards. And games like Stardew Valley, Minecraft, Forager, where they're continually developed and added to at no additional cost. And you realize most of those are passion projects. They only keep getting content because the people that make them love making them. And they're successful enough to make it worth it.
So that seems better, right?
Yeah.
Like, that seems better than all the other stuff we've talked about. But why does this stuff keep happening? And like, even this, you're having to pay money for it. It's capitalism. They'll still try to maybe find another way around it.
Yeah.
Maybe the underlying problem is capitalism?
Yeah.
Maybe these corporations are trying to find any way they can to sneak past us with money, that it keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And maybe the best case scenarios we have here are independent projects because they aren't giant capitalist corporations, but instead are just individuals living within a system of capitalism.
Yeah, and they're only even able to do it because those games are incredibly successful. If they didn't have the support, if they didn't have people who made it be able to be their job, they wouldn't be able to do it. Because capitalism limits your options like that.
So if you're a gamer that complains about microtransactions, you're actually just complaining about capitalism and you don't even know it yet. Listen to our de-radicalization episode. You'll need it. I'm Kyle.
I'm Kira.
Bye.
Bye.